we finish, Sam Dastyari, Senator Sam Dastyari, former New South Wales Labor State Secretary, gave what was quite possibly the most controversial of all the maiden speeches that were being delivered in the current parliament by all the new members of parliament, senators and members of the House of Representatives. Here's a very short excerpt of some of what he had to say.
Friends, let me be clear. I unequivocally believe in a big Australia.
I've got to ask you, Sam Dastyari, and I really want to talk about this issue, but it doesn't sound like the kind of thing that when you were the pragmatic State Secretary of the Labor Party you would have been too happy about a lot of your marginal seat MPs coming out and saying in the lead up to an election. Why now?
Well, I think two things. Firstly, my view is this, that we need to talk about increasing Australia's migrant intake, both in terms of our humanitarian program and our general number of migrants we take. And I think that, I think the opportunity that exists now is we have to have this debate outside of an election period. The point you're touching on, which is right, is that this issue has become far too political. It's become far too much of a hot-button issue that only gets talked about around election campaigns. My view is, they're 2.5 years, 3 years out from the next federal election. Now is the time for us as a nation to be able to have a proper debate about whether or not we want to be a big Australia, and I believe that's the only path forward.
But isn't the lesson from the Kevin Rudd experience in 2009, 2010, when he used this phrase, a big country, a big Australia, that this tended to be a political negative, that the labour market research showed that this was a negative, and we saw Julia Gillard walk away from it. So isn't the phrase a turn-off? Look,
the idea that we should have a big migrant intake, that we should increase the number of people come to Australia, yeah, look, is that politically a popular thing to do? No. At the moment, I think we can win the debate. The success of this country for over 200 years has been our ability to embrace migrants, our ability to engage with new people coming to this country, not our ability to resist immigration. That's the big challenge for us. Now is the time to have the debate. We're a political party in opposition. We need to be talking about big ideas and big issues. You travel around Sydney, you travel around Melbourne, go to these communities in Granville, in Auburn, in the western suburbs of Sydney, in the southwest, and you can't tell me that these people, these new migrants, are not contributing and not growing our economy and not providing the jobs of the future. That's the future for the nation. Is it a difficult political debate? Of course it is. Of course it is. That's why we have to be prepared. Paul, in this country, this amazing country, I came to Australia when I was a 5-year-old from a small town in northern Iran during the Iran-Iraq war. And I look at the opportunities that it's given me, and of course I can't help but feel for other people and think that other people should have those opportunities as well. And I look at it's in the interest, and it's in our national interest.
Why did someone like Bob Carr, you didn't directly take his Senate position obviously, but nonetheless a predecessor in the Parliament, a senior figure in the New South Wales right, how does he get it so wrong for so many years? Because he has always been anti-large-scale immigration, really.
Look, I think that's a mistake on Bob's position. Bob's view was always that you can't have immigration and massive immigration simply on the back of Western Sydney families. His view was that if you're going to be looking at this, you have to do it in a sustainable way. You have to look at programs that are about getting people out to the regions, out of the cities. And Bob's big concern was that, look, Sydney has a serious congestion problem, and you can't have migrant intake without a proper programs in place to get them out of the city. All
right, we're almost out of time, but I need to get your reaction, Ed Husic, as, again, one of the up-and-comers in the Labor Party, yourself, the first Muslim member of Parliament, if I'm correct, certainly federally. Do you believe in a big Australia as well? Are you prepared to use the rhetoric?
I think what Sam's hit on in terms of the debate and having all the factors in is critical. If you look at in the past what hit we had on productivity as a result of people leaving the workforce and us not replenishing the birth rate, etc., we do need to look at, well, how do we make sure that we've got people coming into the workforce, bringing in skills, while at the same time balancing some of the issues that Sam touched on, that when people come here, they tend to basically stay in Sydney, and then that has infrastructure pressures of itself, and how do we spread that around the country. So there, in terms of having an informed debate, that is absolutely critical. And I think what we've tried to do, well, we certainly tried to do that through the last term, but you couldn't have it in that hothouse that we had in terms of a hung parliament. But it is something we need to look at, because there are also very big economic imperatives behind it.
All right, we are right out of time, gentlemen, and I know Paul Kelly wanted to ask a number of more questions. We're going to have to do a special on this, but we're going to have to do it next year. We're out of time here on this program. Sam Dastyari, thanks for your company. Ed Husic, appreciate you joining us as well. Paul Kelly, as always, thanks for your